Hey, what is up, stock compounders? Wow, look at this. So I didn't tell anyone that I was going to be doing this live stream for my Q&A this week. So obviously there's no one here now. We're going to see if people trickle in over time. But I want to do the Q&A this week in a live stream format. I've had so much fun doing it on Punchcard and doing some collabs with the Punchcard fellas. So I'm just going to go through the questions I got from the community posts this week. And if you guys have any questions while I go through those, plug them in the chat on the right. So let's see. We've got a fair number of questions for this week. So I'll just take it from the top. Ooh, we've got 6 people. For you guys who just showed up, let us know where you're viewing from. It's fun to see where in the world people are tuning in. So let us know in the chat. Okay, first question from the Q&A on my community post. How are you finding time to continue your passion to pursue the lifelong learning as a father, husband, engineer, investor, and so on? Yeah, time is tough. It's funny, I look back at my, pre-father self, my pre-married self, and I just think, wow, I had so much time. I didn't know what to do with it. And now it's tough just to squeak out like an hour for myself, especially on the weekends when we don't get any help with the kids. James from LA. How you doing, James? Thanks for chiming in. And we got China. Pun, nice to see you. Luis, all right, my man Luis from Tucson, Arizona. Yeah, how do I find the time? You just make time. When you become a dad, like I have 2 kids under 3 years old, you figure out pretty quickly what your priorities are and what you actually want to be spending time doing. So that's how you find the time. It's not really about finding the time. It's figuring out what you want to spend the limited time you have doing. And I love making content for this channel. I love, just being on the journey of becoming a better investor. And so I find the time for it. I wish I had more. But, there's a lot of places to kind of squeak in research and listening to audiobooks about investing and all that stuff. Listening to Pabrai Q&As, one of my favorite ways to become a better investor. So that's my answer to that one. Keep it going in the chat, guys. I'm not actually looking. I'm looking at my community posts, but I will get back to the chat questions very soon. Chris asks, are there any guiding principles or golden rules of value investing you feel are overblown, misunderstood, or simply inaccurate? Golden rules of value investing. Yeah. I think with value investing, there's probably an overemphasis on getting a discount in terms of the current value of a company. Okay, I think there's probably an overemphasis on what's happening currently with the price of the business and the fundamentals of the business, right? What the business is actually worth. A lot of value investors that I've tracked over their careers, it seems like, it starts out with a maniacal focus on value, right? Paying 50 cents for that dollar of intrinsic value, 40 cents, 30 cents. But over time, one begins to really appreciate growth in a company, that ability for a company to reinvest at high rates of return. In growing the business. Growth is really where the magic of compounding really shines, okay? And part of that is every time you sell a business, right? If you buy a dollar for 50 cents, you've got to sell every year or two and find another dollar bill for 50 cents. Taxes really eat away at the compound growth engine. So if you can find a company that's growing and is going to grow for a long time, and just park your money there, that is far and away the best way to compound capital in your portfolio over time. Harder, right? It's harder to find those opportunities because you've got to look far into the future, which is much more difficult to do than just looking at the current situation, right? Buying that dollar for 50 cents today. So much harder, but also much more rewarding. So that's one that comes to mind. I'll do one more here, and then I'll jump over to the live chat. Nico says, Mohnish Pabrai has said that for a personal investor, 3 stocks is all that you need. In your opinion, what would you say are Mohnish Pabrai's 3 highest conviction stocks? Yeah. What are his 3 highest conviction stocks? So I'll phrase this slightly differently. If Mohnish Pabrai had to sell everything in his portfolio except 3 stocks, which 3 stocks would he hold on to? I know it's not the same question, but this is how I'm looking at it. The 3 he would hold on to, I think, would be Nice Holdings out of South Korea. It's his 4th largest holding. It's his largest holding outside of at least outside of the New York Stock Exchange right now. The second, I think, would be Edelweiss Financial out of India. That's his 2nd largest holding outside of the New York Stock Exchange. And then the third, I think, would be Races. Okay, and I think Races would actually be number 1. That's the one he's really talked a lot about in recent Q&As. He thinks it could be the first 100 bagger in Pabrai funds. Okay, he had 2 100 baggers prior to Pabrai funds, but this one he thinks could be a 100 bagger within the fund itself. So it'll be fascinating to see how those 3 companies unfold. And it's really interesting that they're 3 companies in 3 different countries. Okay, South Korea, India, and Turkey. That's pretty impressive to have such high conviction bets in such different geographies. So, okay, I am back looking at the live chat. Holy smokes. Okay, things are picking up here. We've got Rao from Malaysia. Hi, Rao. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Jason from Dallas, Texas. What's up, Jason? Clayton, my boy Clayton from Mexico City. Okay. Vancouver representing Auckland, New Zealand. Timothy. Hey, Timothy. I wonder if you've connected with Tom, Timothy. I'm sure you follow his channel. Most of the people who pay attention to me are subscribed to Tom. Clayton asked, does Brad have a day job or just invest YouTube now? Yeah, I kind of have a part-time day job and part-time YouTube. So my past life, I was really into sustainable agriculture, sustainable design, permaculture, if you want to look it up. That's really kind of one word to synthesize everything I was interested in my past life. So I do some landscaping now. I love being outside, being in the fresh air, having my hands in the soil. Very different experience, obviously, from being in front of the computer and making content. So it's a nice kind of balance. Luis, circle of competence might also be overrated. Potentially, certainly for the diehard shameless cloners, you might say circle of competence is overrated. The real key about circle of competence is if you really understand something, you really understand a business, you're not going to be whipped around by the price, right? By manic depressive Mr. Market. I think that's really the value of only buying things within your circle of competence because you understand them. And that's pretty important if you're going to be picking your own stocks and making high conviction bets. So, circle of competence, it's something Pabrai basically talks about in each of his Q&As, how important circle of competence is. I have a lot of respect for it. I think you can do well kind of going outside of that if you have a robust framework for shameless cloning. So I've deviated a bit from that in a number of my investments. Chris keeps popping me down. I love how lively the chat is. This is awesome. Chris Johnson, do you have any idea what would happen to Baba if the U.S. moves to delist them? Would they go to over-the-counter markets, or would U.S. investors have to go to Hong Kong? I think we'd probably be able to buy them over-the-counter. And what I suspect would happen is Baba would take quite a hit in the short term in terms of stock price. Obviously, it's already been pounded over the last 6 months or so. So I don't know how much more of a hit they would take. But I think in the long term, in my opinion, it wouldn't be a huge deal for Alibaba or the investors in Alibaba. So that's my take on that. Mirek, sorry, I'm sure I'm butchering that, from Chicago. What's up? James, I love spawners, that pre-tax compounding. Exactly. Li Lu has talked about this. When you buy and hold a company, he talks about it as you're basically getting a free loan from the government. Okay. You've got to pay that back at some point. But in the meantime, you're able to compound that money, right? That free loan from the government. So I think I just thought that was a fascinating perspective on a buy and hold approach. But yeah, very powerful. Clayton says, Chris, you can convert shares to Hong Kong shares through Interactive Brokers, for example. That is true. This is in reference to Baba if it was delisted from the New York Stock Exchange. Karthik, wow, just noticed Brad's Q&A is a live stream. Yes, I think I'm going to do this every week with the live streams. There's just a lot more energy for me. It's a lot more fun. Luis, nice haircut. Thanks. Yeah, I did it myself, of course. I got to save that $10. $10 now is a whole lot more in 20 or 30 years. Clayton, does Racist still have a 10x to fair value in Mohnish's mind? Yeah. So last I heard, Mohnish valued Racist at around, let's say 900 million valuation. And the current market cap, I'm just going to look that up real quick because I don't have to guess. So the current market cap of Racist is, building tension, 150 million. Okay. So let's say it's a 6x from here, buying $1 for 17 cents, 16 cents. I think that's Pabrai's current picture of Racist. I don't know how many of you saw this, but I think it was just last week. Maybe it was last week. What's today? It might have been this week, just in the last couple days. Again, having 2 kids, I've lost complete track of time. Racist, the over-the-counter version of Racist, which I think is RYSKF, went up 10x, like in one day, okay? And I think what happened is someone placed a buy order for Racist, but they didn't do the currency conversion, okay? So they accidentally placed an order at a price that was 10x what it was currently trading at. And so, that was the only order that cleared that day. And so the price shot up, right, on everyone's portfolios in Fidelity. So, the guy I got the tip from about using Fidelity to buy Racist got all excited. He was texting me and tried to sell a little bit the next day, and the price just came crashing right back down. So it was a blip. It was fun to think for a moment that my Racist had 10x'd in one day, but that didn't turn out to be the case. We got smooth sailing from Florida. I'm actually going to Florida on Monday, okay, 2 days from now. I'm going to spend a week near Sarasota, just chilling with the kiddos by the pool, getting some beach time. It is peak hurricane season in Florida right now, so I'm really hoping we don't have to deal with evacuating. last minute because there's a hurricane coming through. Let me know, Smooth Sailing, if you know anything about any hurricanes in the forecast. Karthik from Singapore, awesome. Love this international crowd. Smooth Sailing, thoughts on ALX? My first thought is, what is ALX? Atlas Arteria Limited. It looks like a company in Australia. Let's see. Yeah, Australia. I have not heard of this company. Owns, develops, and operates toll roads. Interesting business model. Clearly a monopoly when you're operating a toll road, but yeah, I haven't looked at it. But there's an out of left field stock tip. Timothy, found your YouTube through Tom. Yep, I'm sure most of you did. We got Michael from Australia. What's up, Michael from down under? You guys just must be just getting up, I think. Is it? Actually, it's only 6 hours earlier, so it's 2 p.m. in Australia. That's Quran in the UAE that would be just waking up. Jason, I know you from LinkedIn. Oh, wow. That's interesting. LinkedIn, guys. I have explored a lot of social media platforms. Right now, I mean, obviously, YouTube is awesome. Twitter is blowing my mind, okay? Just the quality of investors on Twitter that are sharing ideas. You can hit up people direct message in Twitter that you wouldn't be able to reach via email or really any other means, okay? Twitter is so underrated right now. LinkedIn, I find quite sleepy, honestly. I put a lot of energy into LinkedIn over maybe 6 months or so. Grew my network to like, I'm almost 11,000 connections on LinkedIn. But I have gotten very little value, unfortunately, out of LinkedIn. Thanks for your kind words, Jason. What advice do you have to give church 24-year-old who has already had an internship with a value-oriented hedge fund? 24-year-old, well, my main advice is get started. I assume you've already gotten started if you've had an internship with a value-oriented hedge fund, but that's awesome. I wish I had bought my first stocks back when I was 24 years old, okay? You have such a fantastic runway ahead of you. So just dive in. I mean, look at what the great investors are buying in the last quarter. I just put out sort of a compilation of, you know, great investors over time and up and coming investors. So my advice would be to figure out who is worthy of cloning, okay? Who is worthy of getting ideas from? Sort of top of funnel in terms of your investment portfolio, and really dig in, right? Dive into what they've bought recently. See if you can find anywhere where they're talking about those companies. Often they give letters to their investors that are open to the public. Sometimes they talk about their investments on Twitter. I know Chris Meyer, author of 100 Baggers, does that a lot. So just devour that. I would recommend that would be the starting point. And make sure they're high conviction, big bet investors, so they're not spreading their portfolio over 100 different ideas, but they've got like, you know, at least half of their portfolio in their top 5 positions, and hopefully they hold for a long time, right? They're buy and hold. They're not getting in and out of things, you know, buying options like Michael Burry tends to do, but someone that you can actually clone in an effective way. Let's see. The chat is hot. This is very awesome. Your position sizes are almost 20% bets. Yes, they are, Karthik. Hypothetically, if you have more than 20% in cash, will you put the cash above 20% in index ETF? No. I mean, it might be, you know, it might squeak out a couple more pennies out of my portfolio if I do that. But I'm not going to mess around with that. I'm not going to tinker with the cash. I'm just going to let the cash sit there. I'm going to focus on finding the next 20% bet. Okay. I'm not worried about inflation eating away at my, cash position for 3, 6, even 3, 6 months, even a year. It's just not a concern for me. But I certainly wouldn't fault anyone for putting that cash in something that's generating at least some interest or dividends in the case of an index. Could you start showing how to trade puts like Philtown? Yeah, I haven't done any puts trading. At least, I tinkered with it a while back. Probably about broke even. I just want to kind of get a feel for puts and calls, but I haven't studied how Philtown does it. Another one it looks like he's selling puts pretty effectively. Matt Peterson. Matt Peterson recently put out an annual meeting on YouTube where that's his favorite way to get into a position, okay, is to sell puts on that business and either be put those shares or just make a great return from the premium that's being collected by selling those puts. So, I'm not going to show you guys anything about how to trade puts because I haven't done it. But it is on my list of things to learn. I think there's a lot of value in knowing how to do that. Scott asks, what is your highest conviction play right now? Yeah, good question. So if I put myself, in that same position with that Mohnish Pabrai 3 stock question, if I had to sell everything except one company, what would I keep? Ooh, that is hard. I think I would keep Micron. Yeah, I would keep Micron. That's not to say anything bad about Baba or Prosus or Seritage. I'm very happy with those investments. But I'm excited about the tailwinds that Micron has. Let's see. I called so many brokers. Nobody provided me the opportunity to invest as a German. Anybody got any idea? So which one are you referring to? Maybe racist? Gedanken. I'm butchering that, I know, but which stock are you talking about? Which business are you talking about? Hello from Sheffield in the UK. All right. My name is Bradford. I hear, that's my full name, my full first name. I hear that Bradford in the UK, isn't something I'd want to be compared to or associated with. Let me know, BN, if that's your impression as well. Tahir, Baba is 35% of my portfolio. Whew, going big. I have some more cash in my hand and I want to buy more Baba. It's hard not to want to buy more Baba as it drops. Further buy will make Baba 40% of my portfolio. What's your thoughts on such a high concentration? Personally, I made a 20% bet on Baba, and as it's been falling like a knife, I haven't bought more. And I'm certainly not going to fault anyone for buying more, right? It makes sense to buy more if something is getting cheaper. The way I invest, I like to, put in a full position up front, right? When I have a high conviction in a position, when I'm comfortable to do that. And that kind of limits my ability to buy as it falls, right? If the stock starts falling. What it also does is it puts me in a very happy position when the stock takes off, right? Because I've bought a full position at that kind of attractive buy price. And I don't have to kick myself as the price goes up from there. So, you can't win them all. That's my approach. It's not working so well for me with Baba as things have unfolded, but you've really just got to gut check yourself, right? Do you want to make it at what? I would say with Baba, decide for yourself before anything else happens with the stock price. Okay, what is my max position here? And stick to that. I think it's really important to stick to it, because, if you add more and more as it drops, and then, you get more and more in the news, negative coming out of China, you start to question yourself and you start to make bad emotional decisions, right? So it's important to kind of have a sense up front. What is my plan here? What are the parameters that I'm working within? But yeah, 40% position would make me a little nervous, at least at cost, right? If the stock goes up to 40% after I buy it, I'm perfectly happy with that. No problems there. Brad, your favorite free resource for doing stock research? Ticker right now, hands down, Ticker Terminal. If you guys don't have access to Ticker right now, hit me up, send me a DM on Twitter, or leave a comment on this video, and I'll share my referral link. I don't get anything right now for the referral links because Ticker isn't a for-profit business right now. It's free until at some point they're going to turn on charging for the service. It's probably going to be a freemium model where you get a certain, you get certain access to, features without having to pay. And then if you want more, you got to pay. So we'll see what happens. Have you thought about making investment shorts on TikTok? I have thought about that. Yeah, I think I made one. I think I made like one TikTok. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I just thought about doing it. There is so much noise on TikTok around speculation. I mean, there is on YouTube as well. So maybe that's not a very good excuse. I probably should be making shorts on TikTok. Honestly, there's only so much time, right? And I would rather pour more energy into this YouTube channel, into Twitter, than spread myself too thin and start getting into TikTok and kind of diluting all of my content. I think that's where I stand currently. If I didn't have kids, I would probably be going hard at TikTok right now. I think it's a platform that's still very ripe for the picking, at least from a creator perspective. Yeah, I just haven't done that on TikTok. Alexander's is a company in Paramus, New Jersey. Okay, that's ALX. Yeah, I don't know anything about that. It's a real estate business. I would run that by Jack Duffley. Okay, out of the Punchcard crew, Jack Duffley is kind of our real estate expert. So ping him in his comments, or wherever else you're connected with him. What's your conviction hold? What's your conviction hold at the moment? Will you average down BABA? I assume that means what's your highest conviction hold? Like I mentioned, Micron is probably the one. I will not average down on BABA, at least not yet. I reserve the right to average down at any point if something changes with my perspective on the whole thing. Did you make a deep dive on ASUS? I did not deep dive ASUS. What did I do with ASUS? It was months ago. I think it was like, shortly after I read Richer, Wiser, Happier, I did something with ASUS. It wasn't a deep dive. I think it was just kind of a quick initial take on ASUS. ASUS is like an online fashion retailer in the UK. Fashion is so far outside my wheelhouse. I mean, I don't have any interest in it. I find that it's really hard to invest in companies that I just don't have any interest in. Okay. It makes me uncomfortable to invest in companies like that, because you really don't understand a business after you own it. And after you own it, right, if you're interested in it, you tend to devour it, right? You read about it, you talk to people about it. I just don't have any interest in ASUS. So I think it would be hard for me to hold that for the long term and achieve those compounded returns if ASUS is in fact one of those businesses, which, Nick Sleep is very bullish on ASUS, right? I heard from one of my Twitter connections in UK that ASIS is Nick Sleep's second largest holding in Iggy Foundation. Okay, that's the foundation that the charity that Nick Sleep set up after closing Nomad. So, you know, Nick Sleep very bullish on it. But yeah, it's just not something I'm interested in. But I encourage you guys, if you have any interest in fashion, learn everything you can about ASIS. I think it could be a great opportunity right now. Jacob, what's your opinion on investing in a REIT fund? A REIT fund. I don't really have any opinion about that. I've never looked at a REIT fund. Yeah, I'd have to have a whole lot of confidence in the CEO and the management team, but that's really true with any business. I would ask Jack if he's got any experience with REIT funds. You might get some interesting thoughts from him on that. Tim, Cusco, Peru. Awesome. Tim, so glad you're here from Peru. What would be your strategic advice if you would start a YouTube channel from scratch? Ooh, I love this question. It's very simple, guys. I don't edit any of my videos, okay? You know, I wish they were a little bit higher quality in terms of production, you know, getting the clips in there, getting the sound effects, the sort of slow zooming in on the face that Graham Stephan does. Yeah, that stuff is nice, right? To keep viewers engaged, to keep them interested. But if you're starting a YouTube channel from scratch, it takes so much time to do editing. You're going to find you're spending more time editing your video than researching and recording the video. And that's just silly, all right? You are not going to be able to put out a video a day if you're doing that. It's just not possible. And I think that's really that's my best advice for starting a YouTube channel. Commit to yourself. I am going to make a video every day, okay? I did it, I think for it was at least 6 months. I made a video every day. Was I always proud of the video that I put out that day? No. I was cringing like, ooh, am I really going to publish this? I'm going to lose all of my subscribers from this single video, right? It's just not true. So that's my best advice, starting a YouTube channel from scratch. Find something, you know, that you're excited to talk about, that you think you're still going to be excited to talk about a year from now. And just start popping out content. And don't think of it as being a creator, right? You're not a content creator. One of the best pieces of advice I got was from Gary V, who says, document, don't create, okay? Creating puts a lot of pressure on yourself, okay? Oh man, I've got to, you know, it's like an artist sitting down with a blank canvas. I've got to create something. I've got to, you know, inspire people or, you know, get people excited by this thing that I'm building from scratch. It's just not true, right? Document, you know, a lot of what I do here on the channel is, you know, I research something, I go down some rabbit hole and I just document, right? I talk about what I learned from that experience, all right? So it takes a lot of the pressure off if you view it through that lens, that you're just documenting, you know, what you're interested in, what you're already doing in your life rather than creating. Smooth sailing. Oh boy. Okay, we're back on track. Smooth sailing. I was watching a Barron interview, Ron Barron, and he talked, or maybe it's just Barron's investment service, and he talked about ALX. Yeah, it probably was Ron Barron. Alexander's, it paid him special dividend. Look at the dividend rate and price to earnings ratio. Okay. I will take a look at ALX after this live stream. I'm glad I started young. Right when I was 18, I started learning how to invest, and I'm 21 now and just surpassed 6 figures a couple of days ago. Scott, my man Scott, that is impressive. Scott, I got a question for you. So you started when you were 18. What would be your best advice to someone else who's 18 and just getting started? Okay. I'm sure you wasted some time, right? Going down different rabbit holes that didn't pan out. What would you advise to someone who's just getting started? Not even 18, right? Just someone who's getting started at whatever age. Would love to hear from you. And kudos. That is awesome. I love hearing stories like that. Jason, beautiful response. Thank you, Sam. Absolutely. I'll take your question anytime, Jason. Timothy, any idea how much exposure Li Lu has to China? This is a huge question I have personally. If you look at Li Lu's SEC filings holdings, right? Holdings in the US. I'm going to butcher this. I should just pull up Dataroma real quick and get a quick estimate of what Li Lu owns in the US. Li Lu, okay. And is this going to give me the total number? I don't remember in Dataroma if it does that. It doesn't, but let me make a quick estimate. So let's say almost 2 billion Li Lu has invested in the US. According to Advisor Info, which is a great service, I think through the SEC, Himalaya Capital runs like $13 billion, okay? So you've got 2 billion in the US and 11 billion, who knows where, okay? I assume a lot of it is in China, okay? Because, you know, that's Li Lu's home, right? That's what Li Lu understands best is China. By the way, guys, I don't know if I should be sharing this, but I will probably never be allowed in China because on my channel, I posted the Li Lu documentary, okay, in full. I posted it on my YouTube channel. I ripped it, okay, no permission. And what I found out is the people who made that documentary are banned from China for life. It's hard to watch. It's hard to watch what happened in Tiananmen Square. And Li Lu was at the center of that. Li Lu's life is fascinating. Okay, you guys have to watch this documentary if you haven't seen it yet. Just search Li Lu documentary. It'll come up probably on my channel first in YouTube. Because I wasn't able to find it anywhere else. I couldn't even figure out how to buy it, okay, the DVD. So I thought, okay, you know, I'm just going to get my hands on this. I'm going to put it out. So I'm probably banned for life from China. That's okay. I think, you know, it's more important to me that this gets out about Li Lu's life and the sacrifices he's made. And it's just a fascinating story. So check that out. Do you think he would be comfortable with an 80% plus portfolio allocation in China? Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I think he would probably be comfortable with 100% portfolio allocation in China. That's how well he understands China. I don't think Li Lu is investing in the US for geographic diversification, if I had to guess. But yeah, it'd be interesting to ask him that question. Duck Blast, do you think your investing journey has taught you lessons applicable outside of investing itself? Keeping a long-term mindset, having conviction, absolutely. Compounding applies to so many areas of life, okay? Relationships, okay? Generosity, health, right? I just did a 10-day green smoothie cleanse. I had a trip to Asheville, North Carolina. There's a lot of greasy food. Got back to California and I was like, okay, I've got to clean it up. I got to clear it out of my system. And so it was a lot of kale, spinach, fruit. It was challenging. It was challenging, but I made it through, and my energy is, I feel a substantial boost in my energy. When you have young kids, you really do anything you can do to try to, you know, bump your energy up to compensate for the lack of sleep. But I mean, health, you think of exercise, right? not only diet, but exercise, showing up to the gym each and every day. I mean, you don't see results right away. Results come very slowly, but over time, I mean, they really do compound. It's very impressive when you look at someone who's committed to a healthy, fitness program, a healthy diet over decades. I mean, they are so dialed in. Okay. Clearly the result of compounded results. So yeah, many areas outside of investing. Clayton, any investment firms whose price targets you value, like Morningstar, Goldman Sachs? I don't look at price targets from investment services. I think they're largely consensus based price targets. Like, obviously they diverge from price in a lot of situations, which you could argue, well, it's not consensus, right? Because it's not what the market is pricing it at. But I don't think you're going to glean any particularly valuable insights from, price targets from services like that. I think they tend to be quite conservative because they don't want to be too far wrong. They don't want to look like fools, right? That's their incentive, to look smart, okay? So they can get more and more subscribers. That's not necessarily an incentive that I want to align with, people who want to look smart. I want to align with people who are incentivized to maximize their portfolio performance, okay? Which is really why I zoom in on investors, right? Investors who have a very impressive track record over time. That's who I want to be looking to for ideas, okay? Because, the gold at the end of the rainbow for them, all it is performance, okay? And a lot of, if they're just collecting fees, it's different. But a lot of these investors have basically all of their family money in the funds that they manage, okay? So that's the alignment of incentives that I'm looking for. Races. Yeah, I don't have any advice, unfortunately, about how to buy races from Germany. I would connect with a guy, Enrico. I don't remember Enrico on Twitter. De Giro, I think, is a name that's been thrown around in terms of how to access races. Check the Discord for Punchcard. I know there's been a lot of talk in there about how to buy races from different areas of the world. So the Punchcard Discord, I would probably be the first place I would suggest. Smooth sailing. What about Micron at today's price? Not the price you paid. Biggest conviction still buying at today's price. So I bought, what did I buy at, like 35 Micron? What is it now? I just want to get an updated number here. So Micron is currently sitting at 74. I could see Micron being a 3x in the next 4 years. Okay, that's pretty good. Pretty good returns if that actually pans out. I did a video recently about Micron where I kind of highlighted the investment thesis from this guy Nitin Sacheti. Probably saying that wrong, but Nitin Sacheti. I found him on MOI Global. And another guy, I'm going to forget his name. Just look at my recent Micron video. It was like 30 minutes long. I think I link to both of them in the description. But they both think Micron's going to be above 200 a share in 3 or 4 years. Okay. And you look at Dataroma, just go to Dataroma, type MU in the top right, and look at what super investors own Dataroma. Look at what super investors added, not Dataroma, own Micron. Look at what super investors added to Micron in the most recent quarter. Okay. That is gold. Okay. When great investors are adding to a position, I think it must have been above 74, right? I think the low price for Micron in the last quarter was above the current price. So Just simple things like that, guys, give you a really good sense of, where great investors are on a company like Micron. So there's a lot out there about that particular investment opportunity. At today's price, is it my highest conviction? I don't know. That's too hard. Let's see. Ticker is amazing. Absolutely. What are your thoughts on having a forward-looking mentality when it comes to portfolio allocation if you are adding cash to your portfolio consistently? Yeah, because I'm adding cash to my portfolio consistently, I'm not exactly sure what this is asking. Having a forward-looking mentality. Yeah, maybe you can flesh that out a little bit more, Timothy. BN, Bradford is pretty rough, so you're not missing anything. However, it's pretty close to the Yorkshire. Yeah, Bradford is rough. Bradford, the city or town in UK, probably not a great place to visit. Why are you comfortable with China but not invested in Soviet countries? Well, I don't know. None of the great investors I follow, I've seen positions in Soviet countries. That's a big reason. So I'm not opposed to investing in Eastern Europe. I just haven't found a compelling opportunity yet. I'm sure there's opportunities everywhere at all times. Yeah. But you got Charlie Munger, Mohnish Pabrai, Ray Dalio buying Baba. That gets me interested. So if that similar situation happened with a company in Russia, I would be taking a look. Let's see. Thank you, Siavash. Bradford is a beautiful place. So Usman has a different take on Bradford. Maybe I'll have to visit and see for myself. What are your favorite elements within a 10K that you prioritize reading when researching a business? What are the risks? That's one of my favorite areas of a 10K to look at. What are the ways I could lose money? What are the ways this business could go bankrupt? Okay. If you really focus on the downside and you check all the boxes on, all right, there is very little risk of this company losing money or going to zero, you leave yourself with a lot of opportunity to have upside. So that's obviously a very conservative value investor approach, but it's also an entrepreneurial approach, right? A lot of people think entrepreneurs are risk takers. Great entrepreneurs are not risk takers, okay? They're trying to structure the deals in a way that if things go south, they're minimizing the pain to themselves, all right? That's a very important lesson. Question, would you do a full video on how you evaluate a company, step-by-step process, financials, etc.? Yeah, I noticed, who was it on YouTube that I saw that do this recently? Was it Ryan Scribner? Maybe did something like this. Potentially, I don't know that would be all that, exciting to me, that I'd get, that I'd be able to keep my energy up through a full video like that. But it's possible. I appreciate the suggestion. You've planted that seed. Tim, have you considered leaving California due to taxes? If not, at what point would you consider? I am currently considering leaving California. It's not because of taxes, it's because of fire, okay? Because of smoke and wildfires. I just don't see the situation getting better anytime soon in California. So we made a trip to Asheville, like I mentioned earlier on in the stream here. Asheville is a top contender right now. I think I'll probably be moving to Asheville, North Carolina. Yeah, it's sad. It's sad. I'm really going to miss California. I really like the people here. I like the communities that I've been a part of here. The people are just fantastic. But, if you don't have clean air, if you can't go outside for 3, maybe more months of the year, and, I love being outside, right? I love having my hands in the soil. It's just not, it's not a hospitable environment for me. So we're going to see how that unfolds. The Bearish Podcast. All right. I just did an episode with these guys recently. Check these guys out if you haven't listened to the Bearish Podcast. That was a really fun episode we put together. I guess they just filmed an episode with Frank. Awesome. Another Punchcard guy. You might still hold the title for best episode, but he made it close. Frank's giving me a run for my money. Well, we'll have to do another one, Bearish Podcast. Knock it out of the park even more. He's just as bullish on Twitter as you are. I know. Frank is going hard on Twitter. He's really putting out a lot of great content on Twitter. So again, if you guys aren't on Twitter yet, check it out. I mean, have a reason to go there, right? I assume you guys are all picking stocks for yourselves. There's a lot of great investors to connect with on Twitter, but don't get lost in the noise. It's really easy. It's easy on YouTube as well, right? YouTube is very good at just popping up content that we just, our jaw drops and we just waste a half hour on something that's not very useful. The same applies to Twitter. Let's see, one of two. Ooh, a two-parter. It's like we're at the Berkshire General Meeting here. If the stock market valuations and real estate market valuations are all-time high, then don't you think if the real estate bubble is burst, SRG is going to get affected fundamentally? Yeah. SRG is in a nice position in that they own a lot of real estate that they don't really have any plans to develop, okay? They've got a lot of real estate they can just liquidate and raise cash from to put into these exciting redevelopment projects. So, I haven't thought through all of the ramifications of, real estate bubble burst in terms of how that would impact SRG, but it doesn't keep me up at night. It's not something I'm particularly concerned about with Seritage. I think they're in a pretty strong position. Let's see. Let's keep it going. What is the largest initial bet you would make on a stock? Right now it's about 20%. Okay. And, I'll probably keep that going. I'm pretty comfortable with 20%. 5 high conviction bets in my portfolio feels right for my temperament. Pabrai does 10 in Pabrai funds. He's managing other people's money. So it's different, right? Not only does he have to manage other people's money, he's got to take on other people's emotions, right? Certainly he hand selects investors for Pabrai funds that aren't going to, fly off the hook with a 30% market drop. But, he's still managing other people's money, and people's money is very tied. There's a lot of emotions that are tied in with people's money. And so it's a lot to take on. And so for him, that comfort level is 10 positions with 10% conviction bets. For me, it's 5. In Pabrai's personal portfolio, he does, I think he's done 1 at certain times. When he is really bullish on a company, he's comfortable owning 1 company in his personal account, okay? It's usually between 1 and 3 for his personal account. So for me, 5 feels comfortable. Yeah. So unfortunately, it's about an hour in. Now we're 54 minutes in. This has been awesome, guys. I'm going to have to wrap now. I've got another thing to get to right now. I didn't make it through all of the questions in either the community post or on the live stream, but I am very motivated to do this every week. This was a lot of fun. Thank you all for coming out today. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. I'll do it real soon. Okay, guys, take care. Bye.